Namaskar. A very good evening from India. Cooch Behar Archive welcomes you all to its international webinar session on the global heritage movement and Cooch Behar. Today is our third and final day of the session, which was inaugurated on the 18th June 2021. Despite the severe technical and software complications since the inauguration of our international webinar, we have experienced some of the most remarkable presentations by our honorable speakers and fascinating reminiscence from our honorable guests. Today, our honorable speakers will deliver the lectures on the natural heritage, underwater archaeological heritage, as well as highlight some interesting features of Cooch Behar heritage. Like the previous days, after every lecture, we will have a span of 5 minutes for the question and answer session in which all of our esteemed viewers can participate. Once again, a cordial welcome to all of you. Today, we have among us Kumar Srimant Himmat Bahadur Jitendra Singh Ji Gaikwad of Baroda as our honorable chief guest and Revered Rajmata Udayadevi Sahiba, the Princess of Dooars Jr., as our honorable special guest. They shall present us with their precious reminiscences. Among all speakers, we are most pleased to have respected Dr. Abhaya Prasad Das, Professor Alok Tripathi, and myself, Mr. Rishikal Popal, with us. Before we begin our session, we would like to share a few words on respected Dr. Abhaya Prasad Das with our esteemed participants. Dr. Abhaya Prasad Das formerly served as a professor at the University of North Bengal. After his retirement, he is presently serving as an adjunct professor at the Rajiv Gandhi University. He is a fellow of the Linnean Society of London, formerly invited member of Species Survival Commission (SSC) of International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. He was born in a remote village of Kaliachak of Purva Medinipur district of West Bengal, India. After attending to his school at the Kaliachak Gaurmohan Institution, he studied at the University of Calcutta and received his PhD degree from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. Dr. Das served the West Bengal Education Service for 14 long years as a lecturer, assistant professor, reader in succession, and joined the University of North Bengal as reader in 1990. He became professor in 1997 and retired in 2011. However, his extension was completed in 2006. He has been active even after retirement. He is a visiting research professor at the Rajiv Gandhi University, Arunachal, Pradesh, and visiting professor, Department of Botany, Rajiv Gandhi University, and currently serving as an adjunct professor at the Rajiv Gandhi University, as mentioned already. His area of interest is in biodiversity studies, systematics, nomenclature, conservation of RET plants, ethnobotany, traditional knowledge, medicinal plants, environment, etc. It is interesting that his area of study is Darjeeling and the Sikkim Himalayas, including the Terai and Dooars, Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. He has produced 30 PhDs and 2 more students registered for this degree, among which are foreign research students, 1 from Bangladesh and 1 from Nepal and 2 from USA. He has 236 full research papers and notes published, and presently 5 in press or which has been communicated for publication. He has over 400 abstract of articles, 16 books, plus 2 are in press, 22 popular articles. He has appeared over 40 radio and TV programs, convened Indian Association of Angiosperm Taxonomy's International Conference in 2000, the East Himalayan Society for Spermatophyte Taxonomy's National Conference in 2010, presided over the 15th session of Indian Association of Angiosperm Taxonomy and an international conference at the National Botanical Research Institute, Lucknow. As resource person in plant nomenclature and identification workshops, he has received many national and international awards, including the V.V. Shivaranjan Gold Medal of IAAT, Eskesheth Prize of ICFRE, Bharat Jyoti Award of India International Friendship Society, New Delhi, Fellow of Society Ethnobotanist, and many more. He has been internationally known and appreciated for his work. and the present host feels the greatest honor and delight, as was himself a student of respected Dr. Abhaya Prasad. My respect and pranams to our revered sir. We would now request respected Professor Dash to please present us with his kind lecture on the biodiversity heritage of the Dooars in North Bengal. Present status and future prospect. Please, sir.
So thank you very much for inviting in your 3-day-long program. Fine. For quite few years, I am not attached with the flora of Terai Dooars, but previously Terai Dooars flora was my main area for venturing or main area for scientific activity. Now let me take my presentation. The title of my lecture is Biodiversity Heritage of Dooars in North Bengal, Present Status and Future Prospect. Yeah, maybe I shall not remain very strictly within this area. Many times I may go out of it because now biodiversity is in very dangerous condition, under too much of pressure, and if we cannot save biodiversity, the survival of humanity will be at risk. So considering that, I have to speak something about that also. So this is Cooch Behar district. However, my discussion will cover the entire Dooars area. I like to start with this small quotation. I don't understand why, when we destroy something created by man, we call it vandalism. But when we destroy something created by nature, we call it progress. We destroy the forests and construct buildings, roads, etc., we call it progress. And if I disturb the construction of something, if I damage one building, then it will be vandalism. Interesting. I don't believe why it is. Because nature is the primary thing. Without nature, we cannot survive. So, in Dooars region, there are numerous rivers, and these rivers are quite frequently shifting previously. Now, due to establishment of villages, township, etc., this shifting is not so frequent. But previously, this shifting was frequent, and due to this shifting, oxbow lakes were formed, and there are so many wetlands or lakes in North Bengal area. Unfortunately, none of these is officially or internationally conserved, which should have been. Now now about the soil condition. You see all these rivers mostly coming from eastern Himalaya, Darjeeling Hills. So from Himalaya, when it is coming out, it is taking out sand, immature soil, immature rocks, broken rocks. So the soil is mainly sandy soil with rocks and gravels, and quite porous soil. Quite porous soil. The binding capacity of this soil is very poor, and water retention capacity is also. But the area is completely green area, mostly with evergreen and semi-deciduous forest. It is interesting because the water relation of this entire area is very good, and due to good water relation, because the humidity remains very high, and the precipitation or the rainy season is restricted, but outside the rainy season there are quite frequent rain and very dense fog formation. So all these things keeps the atmospheric humidity quite high, and of course the water bodies throughout the area, those are also providing water vapor. So the water relation to this area is very good, and that helped in the development of good vegetation cover in this area. Now, some things we need to remember that man cannot survive alone. If we think that let all other organisms, plants, animals, and microbes to die, and only man will survive, then remember you cannot survive, because different species, when different species occur together in a system, there is role for each of the participating organisms. So they remain in natural condition, they remain in perfect natural balance and cooperation. So with any modification of ecosystem, it breaks that natural chains and webs that leads to complication and creates problem with the not only with the vegetation but also the outside environment. We think that man is so much important, so much special. No, man is not at all special for nature. It is estimated that there are over 7.4 million species on Earth, and for nature, in no way man is positive or special. But as I feel, man is not just negative, a negative organism, because it is destroying nature and it is disturbing the existence of other species on this planet. So now we started realizing, though it is quite late, we started realizing that man's this destructive attitude is very bad, and that is bringing the biosphere at least to the limit of destruction. Now we are thinking to find out some other planet where we can sit. How many of us can sit? Try to think. It is very difficult. It is very difficult. And if we move there, if you move to Moon or to Mars or to any other planet in any other solar system, will you be there able to survive like man, or you will need to survive like robot? Try to think. You would like to live this habitat, earthly habitat, or you like to move elsewhere? If you like to stay here, then you have to control your activities. Man should control its activities, otherwise there is danger. You need to remember that natural vegetation provides everything for the survival of all animals. One animal, remember. Man is in ways of types. Man is also animal, and man is one animal. Map of our country, Federation of India, in their headquarters at Dehradun. Here, only these dense green portions are good vegetation. Then where is vegetation cover in our country? We say that in North Bengal there is good vegetation. You look here. How much good vegetation is visible here? So it is less than 90%. However, government say we are having very good vegetation cover. See, we are very, Dooars is just at the bottom of Himalayas, bottom of the Himalayas, and Himalayas, you know, it is controlling the environment almost throughout the world. So in this area, the floristic diversity and richness of vegetation structure is very, very high, and it is well known throughout the world. And at least for last three centuries, people from many other countries, or you can say throughout the world, coming here to explore the biodiversity of this area. They are taking our plants and animals in hundreds of ships to other countries, mainly to Europe. Now we are feeling a little bit concerned that our forest area is declining. Yes, our forest area is declining, including Terai Dooars area, in Darjeeling Hills area, everywhere forest area is declining. Remember, killing one tree, slaughtering one tree. I do not like to say cutting one tree or felling one tree. That is useless terminology. For me, killing a tree is equivalent to killing a forest. You see, look at this tree. This is photograph of small portion of a tree. Here you see so many types of plants are visible growing on this particular tree. So many types of plants, starting from mosses to lichens to ferns to angiosperms, so many types of plants. Now, if you cut this tree, if you kill this tree, then what happens? What will happen to all other plants growing on it? They will also die. It will disturb the environment of the area and will finally lead to the destruction of the vegetation of this area. So every you see, even here, see here is a very rare plant. This hanging, this is hanging. This is lycopodium. This is one species of lycopodium, and these are different. This is also another species of lycopodium. So just on one branch you can see two species of lycopodium. So many ferns. You can see lichens. These white patches are lichens. Uh, and also, if you study properly, then you will find there are bacteria, there is fungus, there is algae, there is other bryophytes. Mosses is very common. So unique forest. I like it for the large forest, and such forest is predominant in entire Dooars area. This is just you can recognize your area is orchids and palms, there are mosses, the lichens. So these beautiful plants are from our area only. I don't like to tell. In most cases there is no local name, and I do not know their local names also, but the area is from little higher altitude area. So there are so many types of medicinal plants. This is also medicinal plants, valeriana. So many orchids. Our orchid diversity is really interesting. Really interesting. You see, our neighboring state, Sikkim. Sikkim is having 565 species of wild orchids. If we look at Northeast, Northeast, you see more than 700 species of wild orchids are there, and still regularly new reports on the discovery of new orchids are coming. In our journal Fleon, we also regularly publish such reports, discovery of new orchids. Of course, new other type of plants also we publish. You see, beautiful primulas, other magnolias. These two are also magnolia. This is also one interesting plant. From its bark, we produce traditional papers. Flowers are beautifully scented, but this plant is a little high altitude plant. So in this area, the climate is so beautiful that we can introduce plants from many other areas successfully. Here you see, in my garden in North Bengal University, we have introduced Nepenthes cassiana, the pitcher plant. It is growing, you see, the stem is quite good, stem, leaves, everything good, and see the pitcher. See the pitcher. We introduced Jingo biloba also, another interesting, very interesting, important medicinal plant, Jingo biloba also. And we used to receive guests regularly from not only from the forest part of the country, regularly from other countries also guests are visiting our garden. This is the inflorescence of our large cardamom. we are now cultivating large cardamom in Dooars also. So this is also from Gorumara, beautiful flowers. We can easily introduce many plants from our forested area. In fact, once at Rajabhatko, I suggested one forest officer. He was my student, of course. I advised him to develop a garden with wild plants only, without introducing any plant from outside. Just collect different types of mm, plants from our forest and to grow them, and that will lead to. You see, the jingo, sorry, this is nitam. Nitam, this climber is a nitam. Nitam is also so rare, and we are having nitam. This photograph is also from Gorumara. This is Gosai Hat bill. We are having so many bills in this region, bills and wetlands in this region, and these are mostly the oxbow lakes. The river changed its direction, left behind small portions, and that portions developed into lake or large marshy areas. So this is very common, and these are very rich in biodiversity. See, this beautiful flower. This plant I have recorded only from this lake. Only from this lake. In West Bengal, entire West Bengal, we know this plant only from this Gosai Hat lake. This is interesting. Now, this is our Rosik Bill complex. In total, there are 8 bills in this area. We did some work on Rosik Bill also, and now we know the biodiversity of this bill is so much rich. And you know, this is also one oxbow lake, because Raidak 1 and Raidak 2, they were here very closely. Now they have shifted to other regions on both sides, one in the left, one on the right, and then from the oxbow, from the leftover portion, all these lakes gradually developed in course of time. So this is also, you see the Raidak 1 and Raidak 2, and you see the dense vegetation on Rosik Bill. Unfortunately, the fishing is permitted in Rosik Bill, and now every day that hundreds of picnickers or thousands of people coming there for picnicking, and they are disturbing the area. And forest department also introducing plants and animals from outside that will change the habitat structure. So I do not support this type of introduction and this type of disturbances. That is a problem. Now, naturally produced, there are many more naturally produced such lakes like Sitai Bill, Rasboti Bills, etc. We also did some work on some small bills in Cooch Behar, suppose in Sitalkuchi area. I do not remember Sitalkuchi is still in Cooch Behar, or maybe in Cooch Behar, or it is Alipurduar now. Beautiful plants, you see these are wild plants, but its international market is quite good. These medicinal plants. This is black turmeric, and culturally also, this is also from Cooch Behar. They are Rava girls receiving us. Beautiful, beautiful dance, beautiful dresses, beautiful song. Whenever I think all these pictures, I become thrilled. I thrilled that this is our heritage. Our heritage is so rich, so nice. Now, I don't have any good record of total number of plants in Cooch Behar or Alipurduar or Jalpaiguri. But for Darjeeling, you see our estimate, more than or nearly 3,500 species are there growing only in Darjeeling district. It's a huge number. You cannot imagine. Now, so all these habitat we need to preserve. I don't know how we shall preserve it. Remember, on the Himalayas, which is more than 2,400 kilometers long, so there are over 10,000 species of fire plants. In eastern Himalaya itself, there are over 4,000, but I prefer to speak there are over 5,000 species of higher plants. So our area is so rich, and Dooars vegetation is contiguous with the Himalayan vegetation, and in no way inferior or less rich than the Himalayan vegetation. And I believe in some area it is too much rich, too much rich. We can say it is richer than Himalaya. Nowadays, even today, we are recording new species from this area, new species. So all these from our Darjeeling and Terai Dooars area, all these new species we have recently discovered. We used to say that three T's of Darjeeling are tea, timber, and tourism. Yes, you can say these are the main backbone for development, main backbone for economic establishment for the area. But as a conservation conscious person, for me, tea, timber, tourism, all three are main agents of destruction of biodiversity of this area. So the habitat fragmentation in this area is very high. You look at this, you look at this picture, you see this natural forest is there inside the garden. If a new species develop there, then how it will come out of these tea gardens? Because in tea gardens every day or regularly we spray different types of dangerous chemicals and we don't allow any other species to survive there. So that new species will die there itself. You see, these are the conditions. We introduced this dupi plant in Darjeeling in 19th century, and now it is destroying the local habitat, local species in a great way. So in this area, these are the natural drainage system. On this natural drainage system, we are developing our crop fields, then our houses, constructing our houses, etc., and disturbing all the drainage system, and finally lead to flooding the areas. And we always blame the government. Government is doing nothing. But who is responsible? We ourselves are responsible for creating such disturbances. This type of grasslands are there, very common. This is from Jaldapara, and these grasslands are very rich in biodiversity, both plants and animals. If there is nothing, then why this lady from Utah State University came here? Why US government gave us so good amount of dollars to work over here? Did not. We say that we are conserving. Then why we are passing our these train tracks or very wide expressways through all our protected areas, our national parks, our wildlife sanctuaries? Why? And this type of conflict is very common in our area. These tigers, these elephants, these are very common. But no one feel concerned about their death. Man always think that yes, we need to survive. No other organism need to survive. Remember, that will be dangerous for you. So these animals, this is from Jaldapara, they don't trust us. They don't believe us. They are not happy. You see, you can see this tree is being killed by wringing the bark. So the rhino is not happy. And they don't believe us also. You see, look at their eyes, they don't believe us. We kill this elephant by poison. And you see, after killing the elephant, now we are worshipping it. What type of people? They killed it by poison, then they are worshipping. What fool people, I don't know. We should change this type of attitude. Our way of thinking should be more scientific. Otherwise, we cannot survive. This type of thing, within national parks, we are cutting the rare plants taking those to the kitchens so that we can enjoy. So that this type of things are very common in our area. Now remember, India is one megadiversity country. That means our biological diversity is quite high, and megadiversity countries are always center for attraction for biodiversity research. People from other countries, they are looking after it. And when we are teaching in universities, we find most of the students come for degree only. They don't like to learn it to the root. They somehow they manage it. So for research also, if we take someone, very difficult to get one sincere research scholar who will devote full time for research. It is very difficult. But we have very little idea about the floras and faunas of our protected areas. So we like to conserve our floras and faunas. So but this conservation may be in situ type or ex situ type. This is ex situ type. We take plants from plants or animals from other areas, from their habitat, from their wild condition, and keep in some area and use that area for business. So this is Kew Garden. You think of our zoos, our botanic gardens. We need to enter there with against a ticket. That means they are making business. As I already told you, there is at least 7.4 million species of the world. But how many of them we can keep in such such artificial protected areas? How many of them can grow in such protected area? It is very difficult work, very difficult work. Then what about organisms? There are also millions of organisms. How many organisms, microorganisms? Then how will you conserve those microorganisms in artificial conditions? So many species. Then we are also thinking for in situ conservation. That means let us conserve the habitat where the plant or animal is living. So we have some, suppose Gorumara National Park, or this is Jallapara National Park. Here it is interesting that outside these protected areas, there are villages, crop fields, including wide tea gardens. That means we are asking all the plants and animals living there to stay in the cage. This is your cage. Remain there. You are not permitted to come out of it. Finally, due to inbreeding, they will all die in future. And also we are making business over it regularly. Every day we are permitting thousands of visitors or tourists to enter these areas and enjoy. Sometimes for conservation of a species, we need to develop a protected area across the border of a country. That is a very difficult condition. We tried it in Tar region of China, then Sikkim, then Nepal. In this area, we tried to develop it, but we failed. Finally, IUCN decided to develop some or recognize some hotspots. Hotspots means where minimum of 70% of the original habitat is disturbed. So far we have recognized 35 such hotspots throughout the world, of which 4 are covering the Indian territory. So this is Himalaya hotspot, Dooars is within this hotspot area. This is Indo-Burma hotspot. That means in this area, the minimum 70% area of the natural habitat is disturbed. Remember, it is not 70%, it is more than 85%. More than 85% of natural habitat in this area is disturbed. So these are generally referred as hottest of hotspots. That means it is in very fragile condition. Any day we shall lose our entire biodiversity. See, these are the concentration of recognized hotspots in our area. So I said there are minimum 10,000 species. Of these, 31.6% are restricted to Himalayas only. They live only in the Himalayas. You think of the amphibians, 40% are entirely Himalayan. 40% entirely Himalayan. So if you disturb their habitat, then how they will survive? Try to think. I have taken only this northern head part of our state, Bangla. So here you see so many protected areas we have developed. You see, so many protected areas we have developed within this small area. It is quite interesting. That means our area is so rich. These are the protected areas, Sikkim, Assam. So for conservation, we have to change our mentality. We should think that conservation is development. Otherwise, we could not conserve anything, cannot conserve anything. That is impossible. So at present, what I find, protected areas are declared for making business only, no real conservation. So for Darjeeling Hills, only these dark green portions are good forest. Then on Darjeeling Hills, where is forest? Some plantations are there, Dupi plantations, mainly Dupi plantations. So in Darjeeling Hills also, natural vegetation is almost finished. We needed a corridor for the migration of plants or animals from one protected area to another protected area. This is Navra Valley, this is Mahananda, Central, Singalila. That also there also we failed. We could not develop the corridor. So these white areas are our projected corridor areas. Through those, we can connect the different protected areas so that different species can migrate from one protected area to another protected area. Corridor is not concrete area. Remember, this will be a well-developed vegetation area only. There will be no houses, no roads, nothing. So we have to understand that conservation and commercial exploitation cannot go hand in hand. It is not possible. But as a tourist, you will say, we need comfort, we need enjoyment because you have paid for that. And for government, you see, government is run by politicians, and politicians need that whatever we do, that should turn into positively in our ballot box. Enter our ballot box in favor of us. That is the thing. Now let us see some spillovers of development. You see, in Bangalore, different lakes takes fire. During 2015 to 2018, every year, these lakes were catching fire. That means these lakes were so much polluted. How will you control that? We are regularly injecting pollutants into our water bodies, into our oceans, and killing different types of animals. This animal is edible or not, who cares? Let us catch, we use a net, and in that net, all animals are coming or dying. We are keeping some useful ones, edible ones, and throwing others. This is the condition. You see, even in remote islands, birds were very rarely, 5 years, 10 years, some people used to visit. In such areas also, the stomach of a dead bird is full of plastics. You see how much of plastic is coming out from the stomach of this whale. Now, look at this Great Pacific garbage patch. It covers over 1.6 million square meter area. This is plastic. I used to say stop use of plastic, but no one listened to us. In our different ceremonies, etc., the use of thermocol is increasing like anything. I always refuse it. Even in my close relatives' house, I refuse to take meal in thermocol plates. I refuse. In anywhere, if I go, if they provide me anything in thermocol, I refuse. In market, I refuse polythene bags. Will you please do? Please try to think. Try to refuse all these things. Instead, our traditional system, I remember my Jhargram days, my Midnapur days, where the shops mainly provide different things in uh, leaf packets. Now Germany is introducing these leaf packets. They said it is their development, and we say thermocol is development, just opposite. So now we are suffering from oxygen because for survival we need three things. Oxygen is first. Without oxygen, no one can survive. So oxygen is the first requirement. Second requirement is water, and third requirement is food. Your beautiful dresses, your comfortable houses, these are not essential. Think of our forefathers. Go back 40 generation, 50 generation, 100 generation back. Our forefathers, how they are surviving. They are using these beautiful dresses, these tasty foods, or these beautiful comfortable houses, or these costly cosmetics, nothing. But they were happy. They survived. Without these things, they survived. That is why we are here today. In Delhi, this year in West Bengal also, many places, oxygen kiosk has been started because when you are walking through the road, you will feel tired because the oxygen concentration is reducing. And in Delhi, towards the end of the year, November, December, January, February, the oxygen concentration and other poisonous content of the air becomes so high, so they need oxygen supplementation on the way. So oxygen kiosks are developed. We say that our rivers are goddess. So Ganga is Ma Ganga. If Ma Ganga is so much important, so much pious, so much religious, then why you throw all your debris on Ma Ganga? Try to think. We need to change our habit. To forget your faith or philosophy. You try to think scientifically. I personally 100% atheist. I do not go to temple. I never chant Sanskrit mantras. I don't believe in all these things. I don't believe in God, goddess, etc. I always think scientifically. So one scientific mind, scientific way of thinking only can save the situation. Otherwise, it is difficult. Just this is the flower of our old, common old. See, this with this flower, as it is rare, people make business over it. In Alipurduar, after a flood at night, there are some light. There are some light inside the forest. So people thought that yes, there is God. We should start worshipping. But our students, they collected some fragments of wood, and in that wood there were bioluminescent fungus, and from that fungus is emitting light at night. So, but this type of so many times we need to disturb such worships. I have not disturbed the worships. I disturbed the business, wrong business. So now we are fighting with COVID. If your Ganga is so pure, then why are you throwing these hundreds or thousands of human dead bodies, COVID dead bodies into Ganga? This is your piousness. Remember, Cape Town is already dry. In Chennai, during summer, one bottle of drinking water, just a 1 liter bottle, maybe 200 rupees or more. So many countries have forecasted that they are going to dry in very soon. Very soon, in petrol pump, you will add another water pump, and there will be the longest line every day. And when all the ice over this planet will melt and the ocean level will increase up to 20 meters, then New York, Kolkata, Mumbai, Chennai, all will go underwater. So this will be the structure of New York City after melting of all ice. We are not serious about it. So that time in Kolkata, there will be a new type of tourism come. We shall show you Kolkata underwater. They will take you in small submarines and we will show you Kolkata. This is the writer's building. This is Navanno. This is our GPO. this is Calcutta University, it is like that. All will be underwater. Actually, the conflict is between development and survival. You have to decide, we will survive or we will go for development. But remember, this development is negative development. What you are doing, your industry, your road, your all these facilities for happiness. Remember, all these are negative development, and these are taking you towards the point of death. We do not understand that. No government can ensure jobs for all. Your personal expenditure and lust for happiness is limitless. Can you tell me at what step you will say, no, I am sufficiently happy, I need not to be more happy? So you try to think. So we have to take some immediate steps, drastic reduction in human population, reduction in industrial areas, reduce your personal needs, return land to nature, agree to think yourself as part of nature, not something extra. Otherwise, you cannot do this. These are the medicinal plant conservation area in our Lataguri, but you know, in Lataguri area, these type of things are coming up and destroying the conservation efforts. And you see, very recently in 2018, they were expanding roads and there were protests, but who cares? Government is having guns, so they did the work. I tried to do something. Those who visited North Bengal University, you know, this is my garden where I was preserving around 800 species of rare medicinal and interesting plants. I tried to develop our society. We published one journal. We regularly this society's meeting was yesterday for giving away some awards, and we regularly convene seminars. Every year we convene seminar at different places. And with that, I beg pardon, I have to stop here. Thank you very much.
Namaskar and good evening, everyone. Myself, Shubham Sarkar. Our most sincere thanks to respected Professor Das for his kind and valuable lecture. We are indebted to Professor Das for his outstanding work on the plant taxonomy and biodiversity. Once again, thank you, Professor Das.
Thank you.
So one person, Ramavatar Sharma, has commented that the rivers, hills, huras, streams in entire Dooars are in crisis because of plastic, etc. People awareness and active participation required. Valuable information, sir, Professor Das. And
I am shouting for this for so many years.
So, Sir Himmat Bahadur Shrimant Jitendra Singh Ji Gaikwad, he has mentioned Professor Das is a champion in conservation. His concepts are pioneering. Congratulations to Paul for creating this event. Again, Ramavatar Sharma, he said, thermocol and similar PVC products manufacturing processes to be banned, and people at large have to refuse to use it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I refuse it.
Okay, thank you one more time, sir, Professor Das.